Everybody please give it up for Twentyone Bywater.
I was 19, virginal, sipping champagne with my parents, wondering how another sexless year was about to pass me by on the New Year's Eve of 2009, when I received the most important text message of my early life from my cooler older sister, who was at a party in Salem, Oregon, a very exclusive party. She asked me if I wanted to come, and I thought, please get me invited to this Salem, Oregon party. Take me out of this mundane existence which I'm currently in with my parents. So she gets me invited to this exclusive party, and my mom drives me there. And on the way, she reveals the last bit of information to me, which is that the party is being thrown by a retired porn star. So on the drive there, my head starts to fill with these thoughts about Romanesque orgies with nubile young naked Salemites, with grapes and lube everywhere in courtyards and gardens and fountains are just everywhere. So we get to the suburb in Salem where this party is being thrown, and I say goodbye to Mom and get up and walk through the door, and my sister's there. She greets me with a smile and gives me a big hug and says welcome and hands me tequila, and I start to drink. And I take a look around, and it is a courtyard. It's not quite Romanesque, but there are conveniently located drains next to the alcohol tables where if you spill, it'll just go in there. There's pink and purple streamers on the ceiling, lights, Christmas lights everywhere, very decadent. So my sister grabs my arm and says, you have to meet V. You have to meet V. So who's V? V is the hostess. She comes to me. She's kind of almost Portland-esque in her beauty. And in lieu of the normal greeting, which I'm accustomed to as a virginal 19-year-old, she grabs me by the shoulders and puts her lips to mine, and I can only describe it as she's attempting to nail my tongue to the bottom of my jaw with hers. And this is apparently the typical greeting at this exclusive type of party, so my expectations are starting to be met in some kind of strange and painful way. And so I start to mingle. I start to kind of see the milieu of people before me, and they're not quite what you might expect as being porn star movie kind of people. They're more like, a step or two above the type of people you'd see at a Salem Walmart. They're decent folks. They're about age 30 to 40. I was the youngest one there. So we start to mingle, and one of the older dudes comes over to me with a woman on his shoulder and says, "Hey, son, your sister told me you might be looking for some pussy. Well, see, I got this little heifer to my right here. If you treat her right, you might get some tonight." So I kind of interpreted that as it should be nice and polite and social, and I was drinking the alcohol and smoking the cigarettes, which was a new thing for me. I just started smoking, so I wanted to make sure I looked cool doing it. So I sit down and start to have a conversation with the hostess, and I learned that she's from Europe, from Denmark, and somewhere along in the conversation, she felt the most appropriate way to get to know me and for me to get to know her was for her to pull down her shirt and grab my head and stick my face into her nipples. And as a side note, I was born premature, and there was a complication with my birth where I was only breastfed for a week. So this was my reuniting with a nipple for, the second time in my life that I had brought my face to a nipple. And it was really cool. So the whole, virginal 19-year-old kind of mentality of anxiety was just kind of thrown out the window. This is, this is nice. She releases me, and I'm left to kind of contemplate that. And the midnight is drawing near. I'm getting drunker and drunker. The lights are spinning. I'm looking up, almost kind of like the lights here, and the fire from the heavens are starting to get the thoughts going in my head about what is this night going to be? Is this going to be a sex party? Are we going to have an orgy? Or what is going to happen? There's a mystery. Who is going to solve it? What is there a murderer? I don't know. Midnight strikes. I am drunk beyond anything I had ever been before in my life at that point, and I see two men walk out of the back room holding a black sheet with stars on it. And at that point in my life, I had read and watched a lot of pornography. And I knew what this sheet was for because I read a story about kids that took a sheet and put it in between them, the boys and the girls, and they cut slits in the sheet and stuck things through the slits. And so when the sheet was brought over to me and I saw at crotch level a slit, I knew exactly what to do. I whipped it out and stuck it through. And the woman, which I was supposed to have been treating right the whole night, apparently I had treated her right enough to where she started to give me a blowjob, my first blowjob. And I was so drunk that I couldn't feel anything, but the gesture, I had an internal, like, yes, this would be nice if I could feel it. Thank you, yeah, cool. So she pulled away. There was some kind of drunken confusion, and it only lasted for about 15 seconds. But they took away the sheet, and that was nice. And I went off into a corner and started to text my friend, like, this is crazy, like, things are happening, and I'm so drunk, and this is awesome. You should come to one of these sometime. He just texted back, you should probably drink some water so you don't have a hangover the next morning and don't hurt yourself. So I get up and I look for some water, and I make my way into the master bedroom, and in the dark, I can see the light from the bathroom silhouetting V's hair, and she grabs me and starts kissing me, and in my complete drunkenness, the sensation is dulled enough to where it's a little bit nicer. It's not quite nailing my tongue to the jaw anymore. It's more like what you might like somebody to kiss you like. And I take her shirt off, and I take my shirt off, and we get naked, and we move to the bed, and we start making love. And in my inebriated state, I was careful enough that I actually made sure I was inside. I had to kind of park in the right spot, but I wanted to make sure I did it right, because I didn't want to, I don't know, miss the whole point. So, I started to feel her up, and it was really nice. It was almost like we were just a bunch of kids, even though I knew that she was some kind of age older than me, which I didn't ask her and didn't want to know. I just kind of thought, this is like we're kids, And I started to feel her breasts, and I noticed that they were not quite. They were just very round, and there was some kind of a squishiness about them that was a little bit unnatural, like kind of like the kiss, where it was a little bit too hard, a little bit too something that I didn't quite feel right. So I moved my hands downward towards her ass, and there was another surprise. she may have. I found two possibilities in this situation with her ass. Either she spends all her time at the gym just working on her ass, and they're so strong muscles that they could break my arm, or there's something foreign substance inside of her body that causes her ass to be hard to the touch, like a rock. So I just went back to the breasts, and I was enjoying myself, but it was just I guess it was all the alcohol and maybe I was awake for about 16 hours that day, and I was just kind of imagining. I got removed for a second, maybe a little self-conscious about what I was doing, and realized that I was having sex with much older woman, and I just kind of lost it for a second, and I slipped out. I was trying to be a sport, so I got in there and tried to get horny again and get rubbing things in places, and but it was too late. I was too tired, and she just said, I think I'll go check on the party, and I fell off of her. I fell onto the bed. I fell onto the floor. I fell out of consciousness, and when I woke up, it was cleanup time. So me and V cleaned up the streamers off the floor for about 2 hours, or it seemed like 2 hours. It was the hangover may have stretched time out. After we cleaned up, we found more people in the breakfast nook eating toast, watching the UVO Duck football game and talking about sports. And I sat down and politely listened, and eventually my sister was there still, and she said, it's about time to go. So we left. I said goodbye. And in the car on the way home, I told my sister what had happened that night. And she said, "Wow, that's amazing. Congratulations." And I thought, yeah, that was amazing. That was great. That was an awesome experience. And I thanked her for helping me be introduced to something that I had no idea about. And from that moment on, I kind of realized that life isn't necessarily about rules, more about guidelines. I started to have more fun. So I have my sister to thank for that.